It's so great to meet you finally in person. Just to introduce myself, my name is Sara Colm, and I've been working with Indigenous Highland peoples from Central Highlands of Vietnam, as well as across the border in northeastern Cambodia for many years. Initially, during my almost 20 years in Cambodia, I began to focus on Ratanakiri and Mondulkiri, Stung Treng provinces to work on oral histories of the tribal peoples before and during and after Khmer Rouge took over the country. And so I met many people at that time, and that was useful for later research that I did on different topics in Cambodia, like land rights, preservation of culture, what was going on with big logging concessions, this kind of thing. And I knew some Montagnards who had come over and were living in Ratanakiri from Vietnam. It was, for them, a little bit more open way of life. Maybe they had problems with their land or their religion in Vietnam Central Highlands in the late 1990s. So in 2001, when there were big demonstrations in 4 provinces of Central Highlands, in Dak Lak and Jarai, Kantum and Nam Dong, up in Ratanakiri, the first flow of people fleeing for their lives crossed the border. And at that time, I was working for Human Rights Watch, International Human Rights Organization. So that was the beginning of a large flow of people fleeing the Central Highlands, and they really needed protection and they needed help, and nobody really knew who they were or what was going on. So I worked on that quite intensively. I wrote a number of detailed reports, many press releases, and even one book, this book here, which is Repression of Montagnards, to sort of inform policymakers in Cambodia and in Vietnam, the U.S. and Europe, the UN, what was going on and what were the problems? Why were people feeling that they had no option but to, leave their homelands? That was, it's a long time ago now. That was 2001. And fast forward to now, I'm based in, the southeastern United States, not far from Greensboro, North Carolina. It's my pleasure and my honor to continue working with Montagnards here, many of whom I knew, in the camps. Some of them were just little toddlers up to my knee, and now they've gone to college or they founded their own business. But for me, personally, it's very inspiring to see the efforts that Montagnards here make, despite the ongoing tragedy in Vietnam for their families and their people and their land. It's inspiring to me to see people still wanting to preserve the culture, to document the history, and, at times to try to wake the world up about the situation in the Central Highlands. So that's a brief background to my involvement.
So now you are volunteering, working with Montagnards and non-Montagnards who are associated with the Montagnard Association of North Carolina.
Yes.
What are some of the things that you and your colleagues are doing to help the Montagnards or perhaps other refugees community here in North Carolina?
Yeah, I've been affiliated with sort of the research arm of the Montagnard Association. It's called the Montagnard Asian Community Disparities Research Network. So along with Dr. Sharon Morrison from the University of North Carolina here in Greensboro, I serve as a co-chair of that grouping. The research that we encourage and that we do ourselves is quite broad. It can be research carried out overseas or here, different types of research that we encourage. That's sort of an informal part of the Montagnard Association of North Carolina. I think the Montagnard Association, formerly MDA, is really interesting because they work with so many community partners here. They work for their people. They work for the young and the middle-aged and the elders. They really try to help different, say, Montagnard. Of course, we mean all the different groups,
Mm-hmm.
But also, I think it started with COVID. The Montagnard associations started to partner with other immigrant and refugee groups because it's such a crisis to get the word out, to get services. They now have sort of long-standing partnerships with other refugee communities, such as the Karenni from Burma, based not far from here in Winston-Salem. The Bhutanese, I think they're also in Winston-Salem. Also, the Cambodians, of course, who've been here in Greensboro for about as long as the Montagnard Association, 35 years or so. And other communities, let's see, newly arriving Afghans who, I think elders in the Montagnard community can really relate to what's going on with the Afghans who were sort of partners of the United States government and army, and then were sort of left holding the bag when the U.S. withdrew. And so there's a whole community here as well. So it's inspiring to see, these partnerships. And Greensboro, North Carolina, has evolved into an extremely diverse city, and one that really embraces diversity. Of course, there's going to be people who don't, but I find just about every weekend there's a festival of East Indian people, or there's a Native American powwow, in these parks here, or there was Swahili Day recently that I went to, and they're very close partners with the association. So I think it strengthens the association. That doesn't take away from groups that want to focus more on issues over in the home country. There's space for everybody to work on different aspects of Montagnard life and culture. So I love it.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.